Okay.
Only one of my family is as long as I
organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or political parties at any level of government. When they vote. You were all given index cards when you came in to write questions. I hope you did that. You can still do it. Just hold your hand up and some people come and give you a card and a pen. Just the most important thing is be sure to return the pens. The moderator will be Ruth Peterson, who's right here. She will be asking the questions. And candidates will have 1 minute each to 1 minute each to respond to questions. First, they will make a 1 minute statement of their own. I will be the timekeeper, so that's me. I'll flash signs that say when they have 30 seconds left and when they need to stop. But they'll be allowed to complete a sentence or a thought. We're not going to kick anybody out for going a couple of seconds over. This is being live streamed and recorded by the Lotus Echo, and it will be on both their YouTube channel and on the Leon Valley website soon after. So tell everybody you know that didn't attend that they can see it. We ask that you don't applaud or any other thing like that until the end, and then you can cheer everybody at once. Our policy is that candidates should talk about their own ideas and not criticize other people's ideas. So this will be focused on questions that deal with issues they will be facing if they're elected, and we'll leave it at that. We were planning on starting at 9, and at 10 we would start a half-hour meet and greet, but we can sort of play it by ear since we started 15 minutes late. We might go a little longer on questions if we had a lot more. So we'll just decide at the time. So that is it. For me, I'm going to go sit down and start the timer, and Ruth will start the questions. Yes.
So we're going to start, first of all, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Start here at the end of the table. Drew, if you'll introduce yourself, you got a minute?
Good morning, my name is Drew Power, short-time resident, first-time candidate. I'm looking forward to being able to get up and represent the citizens in our city and actually truly listen to what they have to say and move the city in a cognitive direction based on citizen input.
So, my name is Martinez, and I'm running for place 1 in Leon Valley City Council. And I have been your voice on City Council, and I've been criticized for speaking up at council meetings and representing the citizens in the past. I am the only person on council that owns his own business and has 5 employees. So I know how the difficulty it is to run a business and to manage a business.
Well, good morning. Thank you for coming to this important event. My name is Philip Campos. I've been a longtime resident here in Leon Valley. If you don't know me, my wife and I moved here close to 44 years ago when we were newlyweds, and we've raised 3 children here. Our kids went to all of the public schools here. By way of background, I graduated from Texas A&M University. I am a certified public accountant. I currently am the San Antonio Water Systems contracting director and have over 18 years of experience of dealing with local government issues. So look for your support. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Danielle Bolton. I also am a longtime resident. This is my 48th year in Leon Valley. I graduated from our schools. My children attend our schools. I have 2 children that attend Marshall High School. I am the PTA treasurer for Marshall High School. I also an assistant principal in Edgewood ISD. I have 29 years experience in education, 15 of those as an administrator. I have been on the Parks Commission for Leon Valley for the last 5 years. I also serve on the Board of Adjustment. I am also a member of the Stock Show and Rodeo for the Horse Committee. I am in the middle of creating a program, working with Mr. Haslocker to create the Motivate Texas in all the schools, where what it does is we have guest speakers come in and talk to the students about the importance of education. That's a major project that I'm working on. I believe instead of complaining about the city and things that are wrong, I'm going to try to do something to fix it. Thank you.
Okay, our first question, and I'll start with Drew again. If you're currently on the council, why do you feel you should retain your position? If not, why do you feel you should replace the current council person?
It's a really good question. So, no, I'm not currently on the council. I'm currently running for council place 1. The main reason why I think I should be up there is I'm the one that does his homework. I don't like to do mass media. I like to get out there and actually shake hands with the citizens and get one-on-one input on a face-to-face level, not an internet-based decision. Thank you.
It will be helpful if you use the microphone so that we can all hear. Just bring it closer to your mouth. Thank you.
Betty, the same question.
I am presently on City Council Place 1, and I think I represent the citizens of Leon Valley. I have gone overboard to speak up for the citizens and the business community. I have been, like I said earlier, I've been chastised in the past for sticking up for your rights. I listen to the people, and there's a lot of things I support. Like I support VIA. I support I support VIA. I support the animals, and I support wildlife. And I think we have moved forward in the last couple of years in a very positive direction, and I want to continue that momentum.
All right, my name is, again, it's Philip Campos. I am not currently on the city council, but what I'm trying to bring to the table is somebody who has fiscal knowledge and will bring the fiscal responsibility to continue here in Leon Valley. Look at our property taxes and our exemptions that we're talking about. Does it make sense for the citizens? Are we going to be robbing ourselves of revenue for the city as it grows in its expenditures? I want to come back and give the experience on procurement. As I mentioned to you, I'm the contracting director for SAWS. Bring that back to the city. We currently don't have a purchasing agent. There is some difficulty in the way I see the city procuring things. So I want to bring that back, that experience back, as well as make sure that our fire, police, and EMS receives all the support that they need, because that's one of the reasons I live here and want to continue that within the community.
Again, I'm Danielle Bolton. The entire reason that I decided to even get involved in city politics was when my house was caught on fire by my neighbor's house, and it took the fire department 15 minutes to get to my home, and I live less than a mile from the fire station. Instead of complaining about it, I decided to get involved to see if I could make it better. Find out what the problem was. Is it the dispatch? What exactly is going on? Since then, I have learned that there are people that are making decisions that are looking out for their own interests. And I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be based on what the citizens want, what the citizens need, not on personal agendas and politics. I very much believe in hearing from everyone, getting everybody's take on something. I can't change anything myself. But I definitely can listen, and as a team, the city council can do things to make the city the way that it used to be, when I'd be safe at night outside my front yard.
Okay, for the second question, we're gonna go ahead and start, Danielle, with your end of the table. What is your most important priority for change in Leon Valley?
My most important priority for change is to make our community safe again. I'm really, it bothers me that I can't take my dog for a walk at night anymore. We used to really enjoy, my children and I would enjoy walking our dogs. Now, I am accosted by people near the park. I see things that, the spray paint on the buildings, the condition that some of the businesses are in, and it makes me sad. Because we used to have a beautiful city that I was proud to say, I'm from Leon Valley. I don't always feel that way anymore, and I think we need to get back to it. I think as a community, we need to work together to take our city back and to make it safe, to get the kids that are committing the crimes, breaking into cars and doing things, to hold them accountable. We need a city watch. We need to get together as a community, not only to take care of the crime, but to take care of each other. There are citizens that don't understand about Oakwell, even though we have signs up, even though we send things home. There's a major population of our city is elderly, and they don't have family members that can come do yard work for them and things like that. It would be nice if we had the schools involved coming and helping those kids need community service credit for college. Thank you.
Philip, same question. What's your most important priority for change in Leon Valley?
The most important priority for myself is to make sure that we're getting things done as efficiently and as cost effective as possible. One of the things that I've learned as I've spoken to different city officials, staff, and I'm talking city staff, are things like, are we taking advantage of some of the contracts that our bigger cities around us have to maybe reduce our costs in what we spend our money on as a city? One of the examples I brought up was chlorine. We spend dollars on chlorine in our water system. I asked, are you using SAWS prices? Because I'm sure we have a much better rate in buying chlorine than a small municipality. It will save us things like that. How about our water infrastructure, making sure that's sound? And I want to make sure that's a priority as we go forward.
Benny, same question. What's your most important priority for change in Leon Valley?
I think keeping our tax base reasonable, trying to keep our tax base at a reasonable level. I think right now our city budget is very, very tight, and we need to really watch our spending. Well, one of the items sounds very good is increasing the homestead exemption to 5 or 10%. We can't afford it. If we were to pass that, we would have to either let the staff go or cut down on services we offer to people. So, I look at myself as being fiscally sound and do things to help our community, and with steady growth we can do that.
Drew, same question. What is your most important priority for change in Leon Valley?
Good morning again, I'm Drew Power. My most important priority for Leon Valley is respect. I want our neighboring cities and towns to respect us again. I feel over the last few years, through circumstances, we lost a lot of them. I see on a daily basis people from outside our city ignoring speed limits, ignoring crosswalks, red lights. I feel that we have lost the respect of surrounding communities, and I would really like to see us get that back. I know there's economic issues out there, there's support for our citizens, but more importantly, I think it's time to bring pride back to Leon Valley.
Next question, Drew, we'll stay with you. In this year's Earthwise Living event was focused on what individuals and households can do to combat climate change. what community-wide sustainability programs or initiatives would you support that would have a greater impact on the city, metropolitan area, and the planet?
So I was a member of the Parks Commission for a few years. I would like to see us preserve more green space. Keep Leon Valley green and stop mass development. We're turning into a concrete jungle and we're losing our trees. I think one of the quickest ways to resolve that is keep our parks, keep our areas green. I love the fact that we encourage people to come out and they give away trees. I'm a beneficiary of that. Having a hard time with the deers keeping them alive. But education, education, education. The more that we can get out there and get our citizens involved, planting trees, planting shrubs, xeriscaping would even help. I think is the way to the future.
Benny, same question. What community-wide sustainability programs or initiatives would you support?
I support the community, the Earthwise Living Committee. And I think the Earthwise Committee and the Tree Advisory Committee, and I think we need to bring back the Beautification Committee and form those three into one committee. We need to make Leon Valley known. We want, my vision is to, when people come into Leon Valley, hey, we know we're in Leon Valley. Just like if you drive into Alamo Heights, you know you're in Alamo Heights. So by doing stuff to beautify our city, to make it more beautiful, encourage tree growth, encourage, wildlife is what we need to do to better our city.
Philip?
I think what is currently plaguing the city as I walk through it and campaign all over the city of Leon Valley is the oak wilt that we have here. And we're losing our trees, and then our Arizona ashes are getting old and they're becoming dilapidated. I think what I would want to see is how can the city do a possible bulk purchase or commitment to purchase trees that our citizens can take advantage of. When they lose an oak tree, when the Arizona ash is abandoned and deteriorating, what kind of programs can we offer our citizens to go out to a nursery, give them a rebate coupon or something to replant a viable tree? I think that would help in this initiative of Earthwise.
Danielle?
Thank you. As being on the Park Commission for the last 5 years, I've gotten to have a hand in a lot of the creation of the additional parks that we have. I would like to promote more citizen involvement. Instead of it being just a handful of people, I think that if everyone understood their part mattering so much, that us cleaning up the parks wouldn't just fall on Melinda's shoulders and the crew. If we did adopt an area spot in Leon Valley to clean up, to even just paint over the graffiti that the kids are doing, to pick up the trash. Even they've been picking up the park for weeks now, and there's still stuff everywhere. There's only four men that take care of the park. If everyone pitched in their community, I believe that we could make it look beautiful again, instead of it being the concrete jungle like Mr. Powers was saying. I'd like to see the area over in Seneca. Okay, sorry. I'd like to see that area stay natural. I know it's not feasible because there are people that are landlocked to their property. I definitely, go ahead. You did the wrong side, did you? It's okay, thank you.
The next question is back to you.
Okay.
What is your position on renewing the lease on Cha-Cha's Next Gen?
I don't have all the information. The information that I do have makes it look like she was just a couple days late with the payment. I don't know if it was more than one time because it's not something that I'm privy to. I do enjoy eating there. I do enjoy the atmosphere there. I don't know how the neighbors around that facility feel. So without having all of the information, I don't think it's fair to make a judgment on it. as a customer, I do enjoy eating there. As someone who, it went up to my backyard fence, I don't know, because I don't know what has happened. That's not something that, as a citizen, we are privy to. I would not have known that they were late on their payment had it not been brought up at a city council meeting. So, it's one of those things I'd have to have a lot more information before I pass judgment on something.
So, I don't have any privileged information either. However, just what was said in open session, that the owners were late on rent is not a reason not to renew the lease. If there are some underlying reasons before the city that they do not want to renew it, they need to make them public. Because if they have another competitor that wants to move in there, that can charge, that they can pay more rent, make it public to all the citizens. But for myself, I am a supporter of that restaurant. I'll tell you, the night of the election, I plan to hold my election watch party, or gathering there, not a party, but a gathering there, okay? So I do support Chachas in what they've done for our community. And if it's a problem with noise, whoever goes there is gonna have the same issue. So I think they would deserve to stay. I've seen nothing to the contrary.
Well, I am the one that does have the knowledge of what's transpired, and I am the only councilman that would like to give them a second chance. Big deal. They've been late on the rent. She's paid. She always paid up, and she may be a couple, 2-3 days late on the rent, and she paid the late charges. Big deal. The other issue is something that we can get more rent for that place. So we have a business, sure, it's struggling. Anybody that's been in business knows it's hard to be in business, and it's even harder to run a restaurant. So I am willing to give her another 90 days and to see if she can pull the restaurant out. She claims that it's profitable now, so let her prove it. So I'm willing to give her another 90 day extension on her lease.
So as someone that has just recently been made aware of this situation, currently, I had a hard time with Chachas when they first moved in there years ago, and city council let them move in there for a minuscule monthly rent. Since then, it is almost tripled, if not more, in rent under the new owner. I think that if we're gonna give the original owner such a sweetheart deal, why not give her the benefit of the doubt and give her a sweetheart chance? She has made immense improvements on that property. It's becoming an icon for Leon Valley. People come in from out of town to eat there. I think it needs to stay, and I think that the benefit to our community is immeasurable.
So we're gonna switch up the placement a little bit. Philip, you're gonna be the first for this next question. Do you support placing a limit on Airbnbs in the neighborhood for community stability?
I do support that wholeheartedly. In my neighborhood, I live in Castle Estates. There are 26 homes in Castle Estates, and we have, out of that first 20 house in the 26 homes, we have a nursing home. They're non-problematic resident there with us. But since this time, over the last, I'd say 8 months, we've had 2 Airbnbs come into our neighborhood. They've been problematic with bringing noise parties to our streets. One party we had, the Airbnb is listed at 16 occupants that can be accommodated. They had over 50. There were people on the roof. There were loud music, drinking. We need to bring some regulation to that and limit the number that can be in any one neighborhood.
Danielle?
I agree wholeheartedly, and actually when this actually went to the city council at the beginning, I was very much against having Airbnbs in our neighborhoods. having even just lived next door to people that rent, if they don't have ownership in it, they don't take care of it. At least that has been my experience in life. I do not think that it's something that should not be regulated. I adamantly asked for there to be a checks and balance system for this before it was even passed. One of our city council members was very much against that, but he also profits directly from these Airbnbs. He has 2 of them in Lamb Valley. So I can understand him not wanting to be regulated. But for the rest of us citizens who are not profiting from this, we have to live next to the noise and the trash and the cars. And there needs to be a voice. We don't have a dispatcher we can call.
Drew, what's your position on placing limitations on Airbnbs?
So this is a real sticking point for me. I think Airbnbs serve a purpose, but I think that they need to be regulated, registered, identified, so that the citizens can be protected. Again, one of our current city council members profits from this and doesn't want regulations to be put into place, because why prevent a problem when there's not a problem? And to that I say, why put lifeboats on the Titanic? It never sank before. Why wait until we have an issue?
I am the only city council member that supports sensible regulations for Airbnb or short-term rentals. I believe, and it's coming to this where corporations are buying these houses to create Airbnbs, and you start getting shell corporations that own them. So how it gets to the point where you don't know who the actual owner is. If there is a major issue, you need to know who the actual owner is. So if there's a fire, we can call the actual person. The other thing is the hotel occupancy tax, hot tax. We have an ordinance that we should be collecting the 6% hot tax, and the Bexar County collects 1.25%. The Airbnbs are paying the state 6%. So why aren't we collecting our 6% of the hotel occupancy tax?
Okay, Benny, I've got the next question for you. In order to increase the homestead exemption, the government body must vote on it by June 30th. Would you commit to vote in favor of increasing the homestead exemption to 10, 15, or 20% in your first meeting if a proposition is put before you?
I am dead against this, and I'm probably the only council member that is against raising the exemption. While it sounds like it's a good idea, I agree. I would love to save money on my property taxes. We can't afford it. We have a bare bone budget this year. If we get rid of red light cameras, that funds 6 police officers. Are we going to have to let them go? Or where are we going to get the money to support them? Are we going to have to let staff go if we increase the exemption? So, yeah, it's a nice feel-good, but I'm against it. We can't afford it. And you can ask Vicki, if everybody knows Vicki Wallace, she can tell you. And, she's been given a lot of awards throughout the years for her financial business, dealing. I trust her.
Drew, what's your position?
So our city has done quite well over the years with this currently the way it sits. And I think there are other opportunities to work around it to bring revenue up. Yes, red light cameras bring a lot of money into the town, but so do tickets being issued by police officers. So does law presence out there. I think our citizens are stretched as it is when it comes to their taxes. And it goes back to the long-term, short-term rentals and Airbnbs. The owners and corporations are coming in here and buying market value homes without negotiation that they don't live in. And it raises the rest of our taxes up. Our citizens are on fixed or limited incomes as it is, and I don't think it's fair to put more strain and stress on them.
Danielle?
I agree that that's not the way to go. I think that, Northside, the taxes that when you look at your property taxes, the amount of money that we pay to Northside for people who don't even have children in school anymore, Northside's a pretty big area. There has got to be a way to get that amount down, which would in turn bring our property taxes down without having to cause any kind of issues with the city not having those funds available. I definitely think there's something that we need to be looking at because we're being taxed the same as people who don't own property, or the people that live in the apartments, which there are the majority of students that go to some of our schools live in apartments, they don't pay any property taxes. But Northside is collecting all the money from the people who do live in homes to pay for their education. There's got to be, and I don't have the answers, but there has to be a way to make it more equitable. I definitely think that looking at the Northside taxes instead of the homestead exemption would be the way to go.
So, you know, this is a very nice thing to hear that the homestead exemption would be raised, but overall, I think the fiscal impact would negatively affect the city. The budget is slim. You know, there are things that we're not funding from what I can tell of reviewing the budget, and I think we need to address that going forward. It would be nice to have our taxes lowered, but we need to make it where our expenses, what can we do to make sure we're doing the best to buy in bigger things, sharing, co-op, contracts, whatever, but, you know, just boldly saying we're gonna raise the exemption, I'm not sure that's what we need to do. If we had more information, maybe the property rates will stay the same. The exemptions, I don't know. The value, we know it's going up. In Bear County, it's being reported that property values are going up by 15%. So I would say no, but let's look at it.
Okay, this next question, we're gonna start with Drew. What does sustainability mean to you?
Sustainability means giving back exactly what I take out, to put forth what I gain. Essentially, it goes back to the old adage, sow what you reap. I think this city has a plethora of opportunities to engage in sustainability, both with electricity, with our water, landscaping. Solar is huge. You used to be able to get discounts from the government, from the state for it. The city, I know we've got programs in place if you want to put water wells out. You got the water to water your yards. Let's promote those.
Benny?
Sustainability to me is keeping our police and fire at the level they are now, or even better. At one time, we had every one of our firefighters were paramedics, and it's close to that right now, but it's not 100% like it used to be. Another thing I support is beautification and doing things to help our businesses. We have the aquarium. People don't know that the North Side has a museum here. We have the Onion House. We have other attractions. We have our natural area and our park system. We need to do things to make Leon Valley a destination. Our library has won awards. And you go to San Antonio and ask, what library do I take my kids to? They'll tell you, come to Leon Valley. We need to do things to sustain and build our community and let people know Leon Valley is there.
Philip, what does sustainability mean to you?
Well, sustainability means many things. It depends on the context, right? Sustainability, I agree with Drew that, hey, you take out stuff, you need to put something back in. But when we're talking about the city, what is sustainability? Can we afford our water rates? Are we doing something about making sure our infrastructure is properly taken care of so that we don't have a catastrophic event where all of a sudden our water rates have to go up. The same thing for our fire and police, making sure they're properly funded, that there's nothing that we're in need of if an emergency occurs. So it depends on the context. Sustainability means a lot of things, but that's in my view what they mean for the city.
Danielle?
To me, it kind of means making sure that you're not putting fires out, you're preventing them from even starting. We need to be looking at the big picture. Where do we want to be? What's the master plan? What do we want to look like in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years? And then working towards that goal by making sure that our fire department and our police department have enough people that we're able to take care of our city, that if we're going to build more houses, if that area is going to become another subdivision, how are we don't have enough police officers as it is. We need to be looking at the big picture. How are we going to handle another couple hundred houses and more residents or more apartments if they put apartments in there? That's a lot more people. We can't take care of ourselves right now. How are we going to do it if there's even more? We need to be looking at the big picture instead of just the financial gains that we're going to get from building right now. We need to look at how that's going to affect the citizens of Leon Valley.
Okay, next question, I'm gonna go ahead and pose to you, Danielle.
Works for me.
What's your position on VIA? Should the city stay in or get out?
I only have the information from what I heard at the city council meeting. It seems we're paying them over $1 million for them to come into Leon Valley. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't know if there's another transport company available that would be able to pick people up at their homes. I cannot imagine taking away transportation from our citizens that have been dependent upon this for years to get to work, to get to school, to be able to go into the city. We'd have to have some really detailed plan in place before I would be in favor of getting rid of VIA, because right now there are far too many citizens that don't know. If we could find a financial resolution that would benefit the city and not be detrimental to our citizens, then I would be in favor for listening to it. But right now, I don't think we have anything like that on the table.
So I am not in favor of getting rid of VIA for this community. There's too many residents. Whether it's 100, whether it's 200 residents, they still rely on VIA, whether they reside here or other residents that come into our community. They need to have that public transportation. I don't support even entertaining it at all. In the briefing that happened about a month ago that VIA came by, they said, oh, by the way, if you decide, which would be through an election of our citizens, that we get rid of it, the sales tax that would be collected, we would have to continue to pay with no service until they recoup their cost of what they've invested in Leon Valley. And I want to make sure all the citizens know that, because it'll be years before we get rid of that portion of the sales tax to devote to our actual city tax.
Okay.
I support VIA 100%. VIA gets 0.5% sales tax from Leon Valley. That equates to about $1.6 million a year. And like Mr. Campos just said, if we had an election and got rid of VIA, for 5 to 7 years, they would still collect the tax. And let me ask you, in 5 to 7 years, do you think anybody would remember about that half-cent sales tax? And, we would have to have an election, but do you think some other taxing entity would grab that 0.5% instead of Leon Valley? So stop and think about all our people that depend on VIA Trans to pick them up, take them to the hospital, or take them to their doctor appointments. They'd be without service for 5 to 7 years. So I heavily support keeping VIA. And Helotes got rid of it, and they want back in bad.
True.
I have a hard time even acknowledging that we're discussing this. We want to be part of the big picture. We want to be part of the greater San Antonio area, yet we're even contemplating cutting off a major artery, and access to that is just unconscionable. They bring employees into our city, they help our citizens move around the city, and at what cost to the city would it be to replace and put in an infrastructure that they've already done for us? All it takes is one injury, one surgery, and you can't drive. We've got buses that'll come to your door, that'll pick you up for an extremely reasonable rate and get you to where you need to go. Why would we consider removing that from our citizens?
Okay, the next question, we'll start with you. In December, the city council set a goal to have all city facilities ADA compliant in 10 years. Are you willing to speed up the process, and what might you do to make the public pools barrier-free?
Well, I do support, it is currently a law. I don't know what's taken us so long to get these ADA compliance done within the city. It may be budgetary, I don't know. But, I would want to accelerate it to make sure we could get that done as soon as possible. As far as the pools, ADA accessible, yes, I'm in favor of that. We need to see the cost though, and how we can cover that, what is the best way of doing that, and figure out a more accelerated timetable.
Danielle?
Being on the Parks Commission, I'm privy to a little bit more information about the pools and the ADA requirements, and the city is not in a place where we can do it all at once the way we would like to. We're having to do a little bit at a time. Just doing the bathrooms alone was over $60,000. And as we're redoing the pools, I think we were trying to decide which pool was going to close, if one was going to close, before we looked at how we're going to get the lifts in for the chairs for the handicap, and redoing the bathrooms. Are we going to go ahead and knock that building down, or are we going to redo it and make it ADA accessible? It mostly breaks down to cost. Fiscally, I mean, how can we do everything at one time? We're going to have to decide what's the most important areas that needs to be done first, which we've decided would be pools, and then we'll have to go into the parks to make sure that each bathroom, right now we have one bathroom, but making both of them accessible. Thank you.
Drew?
I find this question entertaining. We have all the information on how much it would cost us, how long it would take. We put together a capital facilities oversight committee that did exhaustive research. We had a pool committee that did research on this. We had a parks commission that did research on this. And I know that because I sat on all three. The numbers are there. It is possible. I think the powers that be made a smart decision in not moving forward on obtaining the funds because it wouldn't have been advantageous. However, the possibilities are there. We know the numbers, we know what needs to get done, and our pools desperately need refurbishing. We're literally pouring money into the ground through our pools.
Right now, we are doing a little bit as we can and we can afford it. If you look at some of the streets, sidewalks, they've been making those ADA compliant and redoing them. And the contractors that we've hired are doing a fantastic job. They're even making the access better. For the pools, we are gonna, after this season, we plan on replastering the pools, but we do need to go further. And again, we have a money problem in our city. We have a very tight budget, but we do need to start allocating money towards the pools. Would be the best, one of the first things to become ADA compliant, and then move towards the rest of the city facilities. But yeah, we do have to move forward with that.
This next question, I'll put to you, Drew. What solution do you suggest to stop excessive speeding and disregard for for stop signs in our neighborhoods?
Oh, I'm all in favor of the military concrete barriers. Come to a complete stop, the barrier will drop. But realistically, I think just presence of our law enforcement. Our signage is there, it's legible. I travel through 3 school zones every day during the week. I stop at the stoplights. I get yelled at for coming to a complete stop at the 4-way stop right here at the parks by other drivers. I think police presence is the key to resolving those situations and would help make us proud of our city and our streets.
Before we go on, can you give us your position on red light cameras? And this is for each one of the candidates as well as a follow-up question to that.
The red light cameras is a really, really hot topic right now. I see the benefits. I also see the revenue that comes in, but more and more people are educating themselves and realize, it's a red light ticket. I don't have to pay it. There's nothing they can do. As long as they're not costing the city money, as long as they're not withdrawing funds from our budgets, I don't see the problem with them staying in place till the contracts are up. It just adds one more layer of forcing people to respect our city and our laws.
And then if you'll go ahead and sort of put those two questions together.
I hope we have a little more time than 30 seconds or a minute. As for the police, I think, like at Marshall on Thunderbird, people are complaining about the kids speeding down Thunderbird. There's been a couple of major accidents there. Why not have our police there a couple of days a week and giving out tickets? It's a full, it'll be a force multiplier. You start giving, let's say, you give 10 tickets out in 1 week. Those kids are going to tell their friends, hey, I got a ticket down Thunderbird, you better watch it. So use things as force multipliers. The flashing lights on the stop signs have helped a little bit, but it's not the all solution. And the red light cameras, I agree with Mr. Powers that people, more and more people are realizing that I don't have to pay the ticket, and I can see it at some point it's going to turn around where each camera costs us $5,000 a month. So we pay a lot of money to ATS for those cameras. And at the point where it becomes unprofitable, I would like, and I don't think it's in the contract, that we could just remove 1 or 2 cameras at a time. I asked that question. I think they all have to go. But when this becomes non-profitable, I think that's one of the reasons we can get out of the contract. But we know right now it funds 6 police officers. If we get rid of the red light cameras, are we going to let them go? Or can we find the money to bring them into regular enforcement? And also, I am the one that really supports marking our cars. Have you seen the 2 cars with white on the side? And they're very visible. I'm the one that brought that forward. I don't like the stealth cars.
So the issue of speed, I think we need additional police presence in our neighborhoods. I've talked to some of the neighborhoods closer to the entrance of San Antonio, and we've got police watching Bandera, but the only thing that they reported in that area was they were watching who's parking on the grass and wanted to give tickets in the neighborhood for that. I think we need to get the police to refocus on, we need to really address this speed in our neighborhoods, whether it be through speed bumps and having the requirement of people who actually live and reside there within the neighborhood, as opposed to short-term rental owners, not to include them in the percentage that you need to have speed bumps in your neighborhood. So those things I think would address the speed. In terms of the red light camera, this situation has caused a really big black eye for our community. you know, whether it's bringing revenue, but and whether we're gonna terminate this, which I don't know that it's gonna pass within the state legislature. And how can you terminate a contract that's currently in force? Is that constitutional? That was a discussion up in Austin, during the Senate hearing. But more importantly, how did we get into a contract that doesn't have a termination for convenience? That is incredible. I have, in the number of years I've been involved in procurement, I've never seen a contract like the red light camera. So we've got it, it funds police officers, that's a positive. The negative, we've got a black eye within the state. I think shortly we're gonna be the only red light camera in the state. And it's, I think, there's no way to get out from now until, I think, 2039. How did that happen? What controls did we miss that city council didn't get to approve this contract renewal?
Danielle?
I have an advantage. I grew up here. I remember what it was like being a teenager in Leon Valley. My friends would not come into my neighborhood because they were police. They knew that if they had a taillight out, anything, they were going to get a ticket. People would drive around Leon Valley because of the police presence. We don't have that anymore. No one's scared to drive through Leon Valley. And it was one of those things that if you were doing what you were supposed to be doing, you didn't need to worry about it. But if you were speeding, you knew you were going to get a ticket. There was no question about it. As far as the red light cameras go, I didn't mind them because I don't break the law. People that don't live in Leon Valley that drive through here to get to work that were speeding, they're the ones that were getting a ticket. So it wasn't a big deal to me. If it's going to cost us money, then I can see the city having a concern with it. We're going to lose officers. I have a big concern with that. We don't have enough officers as it is. If you're a law-abiding citizen, I can't imagine it being a problem for you. Because you're not the ones getting tickets. Am I at stop? Okay, I didn't see a 30 second. Sorry. My bad.
Okay, next question, Philip. Are you concerned about the aesthetics of our city? If so, what sort of projects would you support for beautification of Leon Valley?
Yes, I am concerned about the aesthetics of Leon Valley. I mean, it looks very cluttered, but I don't know, by putting the burden to clean this up would be on the landowners that are businesses here. There was an issue, I'm on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and there was an issue about a sustainability overlay where we were charging, if somebody was gonna remodel something, that they would be, 10% had to be set aside for beautification. Fortunately, we changed that. We nearly lost Peter Piper Pizza. They did a major renovation recently, and the landowner, the tenant that owned the entire property, ended up stepping in to pay that 10%. But we need, again, reasonable solutions to address the aesthetics. And yes, I am for that.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, I want people to know that they're in Leon Valley when they drive into Leon Valley. And we can do that by beautification. That's why I want to bring back the beautification committee. And we just combined a bunch of committees. And I think we have too many of the committees on the Parks Commission now. The Tree Advisory Committee, Beautification Committee. Those committees should be their own separate committee, and they should be doing something to beautify and enhance the attractiveness of our city. The two monuments we have, why can't we get some service organization to take over them and keep them mowed and prettied up as best as possible? We have to do things to make our city more attractive, more appealing to everybody.
It comes down to taking pride in where you live, or pride in where I live. Beautification, absolutely. I do my job in my front yard, my street in front of my house, my neighbors' houses, to make us look acceptable. We're not in an HOA, not required to do it. It's something I take pride in doing. If we can get the pride back in the citizens, I think the situation would take care of itself. Yes, we've got Boy Scout troops that can do service projects. We've got nonprofit organizations that can do service projects. But on the whole, it falls down to us. We've got a beautiful bike and walkway coming in, but do we have the staff to maintain it? That becomes the issue.
Being on the Parks Commission and having just absorbed 2 commissions, yes, we're spread a little thin. It would be nice to have another commission that would help with beautification and whether it's the trees or the pools or however they decide to break it up, that would be beneficial. But I think having maybe some citizen groups that actually, I think we do it once a year. We do the cleanup where we all get together and we clean up the trash down Everett Road. I think maybe we should do that a little bit more. Maybe once a month have a group of people to just go around and clean up, hold the businesses accountable for making sure that the grass is mowed, that there's not weeds growing up through the cement, that as you're driving down Mandara Road, you see dilapidated buildings with weeds growing in front of them. The car wash down the street has done a beautiful job of taking an area that used to be an eyesore and they planted bushes all in it with beautiful flowers. At the 4-way stop at Seneca and Evers, the city came in and put walkways in there.
Okay, this is a sort of follow-on question to this.
Okay, so maybe say
No,
fair
you
enough.
can go ahead and I'll put this to you. Would you support a Leon Valley Public Art Master Plan? And if so, would you support budget increases to fund it?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, I would have to have more information, like what kind of budget, how much are we talking? And yeah, I would support having an art program. I believe that we even tried to have the silo what do they call it? Just the silos painted with a Leon Valley picture, something to be aesthetically pleasing as people came in to Leon Valley from that area, but it was voted down. I believe in doing some things in the city, like I personally am the reason why the Marshall Tower has a Marshall Ram over it. Because they wanted to put Leon Valley on there again. We already have 2 towers that say Leon Valley. That is in Marshall's parking lot. It makes sense for it to be their mascot, things like that. Things that will help the younger generation have some pride in their area, and I think having artwork involved would help them have some ownership in this. And the more ownership everyone has in the community, the more they're going to take care of it.
Philip, would you support a Leon Valley Public Art Master Plan and funding for it?
A Leon Valley Park?
Public Art
Public art.
Master Plan.
So, I would be in favor of the public art, there's no doubt. But I think in terms of the budget to support it, I think we need to go through our list of priorities as to what is important to all of our residents. And let it shake out and you know, where it falls. If it's at the top of the list, let's increase some budget for it. If it's not, but I think our primary position would be our public safety. That's what we need to concentrate on. And I think that would be a priority for me in looking at the budget.
I never thought about this topic, but we have a lot of graffiti in these buildings that get tagged all the time. Why not have somebody do like San Antonio, where they have somebody do a really nice mural there? Even the taggers stay away from those. So that's something that should be done at very low cost and something to beautify our community. You know, I'm always looking for ways to help beautify and make Leon Valley known as, you know, when you're in Leon Valley. So I would support, I don't know about public funding for that. We're stretched as it is, but if we could get public funds or donations for that, I'm all in favor for helping out there.
Sure.
So I'm all in favor in hashing out the idea and putting something together, but until that comes to fruition, I don't think making a call whether I would support or not support it would be relevant. It's too premature, but absolutely, I agree. Looking into something like this and adding something like this to our community. However, we have a hard enough time enforcing our sustainability overlay in our city's master plan. Why are we gonna add more bureaucracy on top of that? Researching it, hashing out the idea, fleshing it out, absolutely, I'm 100% in support of it. Enacting it, until there's something concrete in place, I couldn't make a judgment.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes this portion of the event, and we will have a mixer where you can talk individually to the candidates starting in just a moment. First, I think the candidates and the moderator deserve a round of applause for all of it. And I'd like to introduce the president of our San Antonio League, Martinez, who's always been to be helpful and just a wonderful person in general. She didn't make me say that. Anyway, so thank you all very much, and now just enjoy yourselves chatting with each other.